Third problem that we will be solving, name of the problem is lift says no. So we're talking about a 10-story building where there's a smart lift that allows only 8 people at one time. So on each floor, the lift will stop and some people will exit and then some people will enter. But when the capacity reaches the threshold, it will not allow any more people. So there will be some people that are unsuccessful to get in the lift for each floor. What we will have to do, we'll have to write a code that calculates how many people were actually unsuccessful to get into the lift and then print it. So we can see the input and output format. Here the input is one single line. So here the input will be a bit tricky. We'll have to take the input as one line and then we'll have to process it, because if we see here, we can see there are 10 pairs of numbers separated by a comma, and then each pair is separated by a space. And if I talk about each pair, the first number is the number of people that exit, and the second number is the number of people that enter the lift for each floor. And the output will be one single number saying how many people were unsuccessful to get into the lift. When we will solve the problem with Python, we will submit the solution here. Now let's discuss about how to solve the problem. For this problem, I will have some variables that will keep track of something. The first thing is the number of passengers riding the lift. So for each floor, it will keep track of how many people are already in the lift. Also, there's another variable and which is basically a fixed value, that is max capacity. For this problem, it is 8. The final result here would be the total people missed count. It will be incremented for each step based on the conditions. So I already have prepared a demo test case. For that, we will iterate over and we'll see how the process or how the solution will work. So let's say the input is something like this. So 7, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 2, 6, 0. Which means that for floor 1, no people get out because there were no people for the first floor. Then 7 people try to get in. Then for the next floor, 5 people get out and 6 people try to get in, and that's how it continues. So whether all the people are successful or not and how many people are unsuccessful, which will be our expected result, that will be kept here, the number of total unsuccessful people. That is the whole process of the solution. So we'll go step by step. Now we will do this and use the input for each floor. So here I'll be keep track of the people riding after they exit and then people missed. Oh. For floor 1, input is 0, 7. That means no people exit, but 7 people try to enter. Now, since there are no people riding the lift right now, so does it cross the threshold? No, it doesn't cross the threshold. So now I will check whether the number of people riding currently and the number of people that are trying to enter, do these two add up and make it more than the maximum capacity? If the summation of people trying to enter and the number of people riding exceeds maximum capacity, then we'll subtract the maximum capacity from this summation. I'll put the result here. So here it's definitely not, so no people missed here. So for floor 2, now currently the number of people riding is 7, but for floor 2 we have 5 people exiting and 6 people trying to enter. Now previously we had 7 people in the lift, but 5 will be subtracted from it, so currently we have 2 people riding the lift. Now we will again check whether the summation of 6 and 2 is more than max capacity. It's not more than max capacity, so no people missed. But currently we have 8 people in the lift. And yes, this is also another value that we have to track that takes to the next floor. Now for floor 3, we have 2, 3. So we'll check again that currently we have 8 people in the lift and 2 people exits. Now we have 6 people left in the lift. Now 3 people will try to enter, but we'll check whether the summation of 3 and 6 is greater than max cap. Yes, it is. So now what I'll do, I'll subtract 8 from the summation of these two values and then put that as the number of people missed for that floor. In this case, it's 1. There's another thing that I have to do, that is, since it exceeds the max capacity, I will put the max capacity here for the next floor. Now let's go to the next floor. It's 4, and the inputs are 4 people will exit, 2 people will try to enter. Now there are 8. So after subtracting, we will have 4 people. Now, yeah, the people trying to enter and the number of people remaining or riding in the lift, the summation doesn't exceed the max capacity, so no people will miss. So we currently have this number of people, but it will be updated to 6 for the next floor. So for floor 5, that's the final floor. For this test case, we have 6, 0. So 6 people will exit and no people will try to enter. So definitely the number of people riding in the lift after floor 5 will be 0 and people missed will be 0. And you can see the values for people missed for each floor. For each step, they will be updated and they will be added to the total number, because that's the final result and that will be returned by the function. So when it was 1, this total will be updated and it will be 1. So our final result for this test case is 1. Now we will go to the code and use the actual test case given in the problem. As I already told you that the input will be a bit tricky, so I will try to explain how I will process the whole input step by step. And definitely I'm going to follow the same structure. We're going to take the input in the main function. We'll define another function where the actual calculation will be done. And from that function, the result will be returned to the main function and we will print the result from the main function. Okay? Right. So this is the first line which I will use to input. And yes, I'm going to get rid of all the spaces from left and right, and I'm going to split the string in the line using. Now let's do one thing. Let's print and see what we have here. If we press enter, so now we have a list of strings. But yeah, for each string, we can see that it's basically a pair of numbers separated by a space. Now we have to get into this list and we'll have to convert the string into a pair of numbers. So how can we do that? We can actually define another list. So for that list, that will be appended in this floors. So let's define list floors. Now what I will do, I will run a loop, and then for each element in this floor list, I'll split the elements through space and then convert each of the elements into integers, and then that will be a list and that will be appended in these floors. So the final result from these floors will be a list of lists. So how we do that? We're going to say for floor in floor list, floors dot. I'm going to convert the whole thing into list. So I'm going to use the map function. Here it is going to be floor, and this will be split using the split function, and by default that takes a space. Now let's check whether it works just by using print. Let's run this. I'm going to paste the input. Right, this was the floor list and this is the floors, and we can see that here it's a list of lists where each list inside is now a pair of integers, and this will be sent to the function and the output will be decided. Let's define the function calculate people told no by lift. We just have to make the name of the functions meaningful, so that's why I did this. And it is going to take this variable. I'm just going to keep the name same so that no confusion is there. Right. Let's call the function here. Result, it will capture output from this function and it will print the result. I don't need this print anymore because we all know how they work. Initially, I will define a variable which is total number of people that missed the lift. So the name of the variable will be total people missed count and the value will be initially 0. So we have a max capacity. It is 8. There will be another variable which is number of passengers riding the lift, and it will be updated for each step. This will also be updated for each step. So this max capacity, this is the only variable that will have a fixed value for the whole program. So number of passengers riding lift, it's initially 0. Now this is the result, and we will return the result from here. And we will do something here. We'll run a loop, we'll do some calculations. Let's see how it goes. Floor in floors. We'll iterate over this area and we'll separate the number of people that exit and not the number of people that enter. Now we're going to calculate the number of passengers that are riding the lift. And how can we do that? With this calculation. So some people will exit initially, so we'll have to subtract that for that specific floor. There is a condition that I will use that is really crucial here. Number of passengers riding lift plus the number of people that are trying to enter. If that exceeds the max capacity, then we will say that there should be some people that are missing the lift, and we need that number. And what will be the number? This will be the number of people that are missing the lift. So people missed count. This will be for each floor, and this will be added to the final result. Total people missed count. For each step, it will be incremented with this one. Yes, we have to update another value, that is, since this summation exceeds the max capacity. That means currently the lift will be at its capacity. So we should update this number of passengers riding lift and make it max capacity. But if this is not true, then we'll simply do something that all the people that are trying to enter will enter the lift. So that will be the update. And that's how the number of passengers riding lift will be decremented based on the people that are exiting. And finally, with all the calculation, the total people missed count, which is for the total number of people that missed the lift, will be calculated and will be returned to the main function. Now let's run the code and see whether it works. Yes, there's one mistake that I did here. I wrote it wrong. So it is supposed to be people exit. Now I'm going to run this. I'm going to paste the input and 3. So it works. Now we are going to submit this code in the website to see whether it works for all the test cases. Here we are. We're going to paste the solution and submit the code, and we're going to wait for a while to see whether it works. So the code passes for all the test cases, so it's done. And thank you so much for being with me. And now we will go to the next problem.